FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
You all remember flash mobs, right? The flagpole sitting of 2003, where some synchronized email would go out, let's all get together at the same place at the same time, do something mildly funny, right? So flash mobs turned out to have been promulgated by Bill from New York, whose name was on the email. Well, Bill from New York was Bill Wasik of Harper's Magazine. And he conceived of flash mobs as a kind of critique of hipster culture, right? He said basically, I can prove that hipsters are so brain dead that if you tell them that what they're going to do is going to be shocking to the bourgeoisie, they will completely set aside any set of judgment, any kind of judgment they have, and do any damn fool thing you put in a piece of email. Right? And lo and behold, they have pillow fights in downtown Toronto, or 100 people show up at a Stone Ledge in Central Park and start making pigeon noises. Right? So in fact, Wasik demonstrated exactly what he wanted. And these kinds of things spread. Right? Eventually, it goes to Toronto, it goes to the UK, it goes to France, and in 2006 it gets to Belarus. Right? So somebody puts up a weblog page in LiveJournal saying, "Hey, you guys, I know. Let's have a flash mob. Right? Let's all go to downtown Minsk and we'll walk around." October Square eating ice cream. Right? It's what passes for a good time in Minsk, I guess. So here they are, the flower of Minsk, walking around eating ice cream. Right? And this photo stream goes up immediately after the event. The next set of photos, though, unusual in the history of flash mobs, is black-clad secret police dragging those kids bodily out of the square. The problem with the group eating ice cream wasn't the ice cream. It was the group. Lukashenko, who's the leader of Belarus, is the last of the great Eastern European dictators. He stole the election in March of 2006, and then to forestall the kind of problems that they had had in other Eastern European countries, he made it illegal to act in concert in October Square, which is the site of most political protests. So what these kids did is they grabbed the flash mob pattern, which in a US context had been essentially a political mocking of this kind of collective action. And they actually turned it into a successful tool for protest. Because the Lukashenko government can't penetrate the conspiracy, right? The whole thing is being done on a weblog. How much more public could it be, right? And they can't stop the group from entering October Square because they're not a group when they enter October Square, which is, of course, the whole point of the design of flash mobs. So they've managed to provoke the Lukashenko government into reacting in real time, right? And that was part of their goal, right? To create this situation where they can demonstrate that the state is willing to drag these kids out of the square. But it wasn't just to provoke the reaction, it was also to document it. These kids didn't just bring their ice cream to October Square, they brought their cameras, right? And these photos went up because these photos went up online almost immediately. This isn't just an example of media leading to collective action, it's also an example of collective action leading to more media. Right? Because nothing says dictatorship like arresting people for eating ice cream. And they wanted these photos to be widely circulated. Because their theory is that observation by the US and Western Europe will at least moderate what the Lukashenko government is able to do to the opposition. The bug in the system, sadly, is that the West actually cares quite a bit less about dictatorship in Eastern Europe than it used to. But this in any case is their goal. One of the lessons that I took from this is that these kinds of tools are very different when deployed in high or low freedom environments, right? In a high freedom environment, new communications tools tend to be used for entertainment, right? People were tripping over themselves when Twitter launched to denounce it as the most stupidest application ever, right? This is the SMS rebroadcasting service. But Egyptian democracy activists are actually using Twitter to coordinate their actions relative to the authorities. So a big part of how these tools get used actually depends on the political context in which they're operating. And flash mobs, in fact, aren't a permanent critique of bourgeois culture. They're just a critique of that culture in the US. But in the Belarusian context, right, they're actually a really potent way of forcing the state to do something in public that they don't otherwise want to do.